Hey guys, so in this video I'm going to compare Furina, Focalors, and Neuvillette's story in Genshin as to how they obtain their vision or hydropower, to see if they hold true to their counterpart Sephiroth in the Tree of Life, as I've long put forth claims as to how each vision should work and be obtained. But with no further ado, let's just get right into it. As I've said in past videos, the key to unlocking this vision or Sephiroth is honest, empathetic service towards others, and loving all things. However, you also need to have your soul resonate with the right frequency, and the meaning behind that frequency are things like mercy, loving kindness. Some other traits are serving others, expanding ideas, empathetic concerns, fairness, peace, and order. It is generous, empathetic, and sociable. In Genshin, this one is justice. So before we get into the characters, know that there's going to be major spoilers for these characters' story, obviously. So if you don't care or you've already seen it, carry on. I guess let's start with Furina. So Furina is the seemingly Hydro Archon and ruler of Fontaine. And she's extremely over the top and dramatic, as if she's like performing a play or something, because that's exactly what she's doing and has been doing her entire life since the moment of her conception, which was about 500 years ago. And the play she's performing is to pretend to be the Hydro Archon, to full fate itself so that they can bypass the sentence of a rule that was broken long ago. But anyway, the very fact that Furina had to do this service for 500 years selflessly for the people of Fontaine, one would assume that she would have been granted the Hydro Vision, as this is empathetic service towards others. As she's trying to avert an apocalypse her people are fated to. However, she didn't get a Hydro Vision doing this, nor does she have the Hydro Gnosis, nor any power greater than a visionless human. So the reason she didn't get a Hydro Vision in all of her years of service was because she didn't resonate with the Hydro Vision enough. Same reason she didn't acquire a Dendro Vision, as she has selflessly sacrificed her life for 500 years straight for others, because she doesn't resonate with the Dendro Vision either. Anyway, the reason she doesn't resonate with the Hydro Vision enough is because she's been in this isolated prison sentence for 500 years. This was suffering. She wasn't enjoying this. This was pain, loneliness, and misery. You have to love what you're doing. You have to love the people you're doing this for. Also, she might have not really chose this. Yes, she took the task presented to her for her people. However, she might have felt obligated, as she was created for this very purpose. Being tasked with something and stepping up on one's own and choosing it is two very different things. So how does Furina actually obtain a Hydro Vision? So this is one of the few cases where we actually get to witness it happen within the game itself. And what happens is, despite the fact that Furina doesn't want to perform in plays or play any roles any longer, as her whole life has just been like this and she's not got to live and be herself once in her life, we seek her assistance out to help out with a play, as she's a great performer and she's been performing this role for 500 years. Obviously, she's one of the best actresses in the world, so we seek her out to help with this play. So clearly she's resistant at first, because she doesn't want to act anymore, she doesn't want to perform anymore, she doesn't want to put on a mask anymore. She's been doing this her whole life. It's annoying to her, but I think it piques her curiosity, the fact that we need her, kind of thing. And she is the best at this. Despite the fact that she may hate doing this, she is the best at this. So she seeks us out after refusing to join us, and she ends up actually helping and joining in, helping orchestrate the whole thing. But then one of the actresses gets sick while they're performing, and what happens is either the play is going to be a bust and they're going to have to cancel it, or Furina can go on stage and take over the role. So since she knows the role so well, because she was helping out with the play from start to finish, she chooses on her own to go out there and she pours her heart into it. For the actors who pour their heart into this play, for the person they're dedicating this play to who no longer is with them, for the audience who showed up to watch their little ragtag play, and for herself, who had only played this other role as the Hydro Archon her entire life. She finally gets to do something else. She finally gets to have fun, pour her heart out, be herself, do something different, something she's actually good at as well. During the play itself, she was supposed to receive a prop vision as part of the play. She ends up manifesting her own vision during the play for doing this empathetic act of service for others. And this is how she obtained her vision. Alright, so next we're going to talk about both Focalors and Neuvillette at the same time, because it's kind of hard to talk about one story without talking about the other one. And I don't want to repeat myself saying the same stuff over and over, so we're just going to cover both at once. So at the beginning of our known universe, Tvat, right? Originally there was dragons. There were primordial dragons. I've kind of hinted at this in a earlier video I made and explained how they came to be, what exactly they are, and what became of them, but I'll go into deeper detail in a later video just so you guys clearly understand what happened here. But this is what I was talking about. So the primordial dragon of Hydro ended up getting killed, and his power was then used and given to the first Hydro Archon, and then he was reincarnated in a weaker form as some of his power was used. This is Neuvillette, and some of that power was given to Ageria, the first Hydro Archon. However, what she did with it was she saw that the Oceanids desired to be human. They longed for that life, and she, being merciful and kind and loving and wanting peace and fairness, she wanted them to have equality and live among the humans, to live out their dreams. So she did exactly that. She granted them the ability to be human, and for that she got punished. So this curse kind of is worded like if it's some judgment, some rule, like somebody sitting on Celestia casting judgment. There is no one sitting there, guys. I'm telling you, Celestia is empty. If there's anyone there, they're in prison cells. The Abyss Kings and the Primordial one, which is called the Demiurge, are in prison right now. They are not roaming free, or else they would have interfered with a lot of things that have been going against their wishes in Tvat. Anyway, this spell was set a long time ago, and it was just sitting there waiting for somebody to break the rules. There are probably tons of other rules that are just basically curses, and if we hit the requirements of those curses, we unleash that seal, that curse upon ourselves. It is not someone casting judgment, it's these seals already in place, and if you hit the requirements for them, now you trigger them and they're coming onto you. This is what I think happened to Ageria, and this is what happened to the people of Fontaine and the Hydro Archon and so on. Now there's this curse coming for them, which is going to basically drown all of them and return them into the ocean of which they came. However, when Ageria died, she passed on the Hydro power to Focalors, and Focalors, genius Focalors seemed to have known what to do, what to set in motion to bypass this basically apocalypse that her people are pretty much fated to, as is she. So what she did is, from the start, she knew that she had to somehow trick this spell, because if it's a person sitting in Celeste casting judgment, they would not have fallen for this. They would be like, wait a second, something's wrong. Especially at the last second, they could have just chosen like, oh no, look, there's two Archon, kill both of them, just kill both of them. But it didn't do that, because it's not a person casting judgment, it's a spell. It's kind of like a program that can be tricked. It's only set to destroy one Hydro Archon, but technically there's kind of like two. It's confused, it doesn't know, it's just choosing one of them. The first one, who do I have aggro for? That one, I guess that one. It tricks it, and then she even I'm getting ahead of myself, but what was the point of this? Because this was genius from the start. So what exactly did she do? What she did was she took a lesser piece of herself, a smaller piece of herself in human form, and let her live out the role of the Hydro Archon, but without the powers of the Hydro Archon, as she still had it inside herself. And she would be the Hydro Archon from the shadows. But on top of that, she also invited Neuvillette to come partake in this, but without him knowing who it actually was. So he entered onto the stage and took part in being in Fontaine's civilization and stuff like that. And her goal from the start was seemingly to obviously kind of trick fate, trick this spell into not performing the way that it's meant to, and to alter it. She doesn't have enough power to turn off this spell by herself, this curse. But if Neuvillette, who already has some Hydro power in him, were to get back her power, he would be powerful enough to stop this curse. But why would he, when he doesn't care, or he doesn't even know the Fontanian people? Why would he do this? So what she did was, like I said, trick him into coming to Fontaine and being part of the society, seeing these people, feeling these people's emotions, seeing their drama in their lives. He would then be forced to care for them. Why did she know this was gonna happen, and he was gonna basically love them and care for them and have empathetic service for them? Because he's the Hydro Dragon, and all of these requirements that it takes to be a Hydro Vision wielder is the very essence of the Hydro Dragon, of the Hydro Archon itself. They are compelled to be like this. They can't refuse it. He's empathetic. Even though he may seem like he's not really good at expressing his emotions, he is very emotional. He definitely feels this stuff. So she knew that the moment she invited him and he took part in this, he was going to be completely compelled to want to help them, to want to save them. So when the time came that she would pass on the torch to him and give him his power back, he would then choose to save them. However, it would be too late for her but she didn't care. It's not about her. Everyone's always saying poor Furina, she never got to live her life. She had to live 500 years performing this play and never getting to enjoy a single moment. Yes, but what about poor Focalors? She never got to live at all. No one knew she even existed. She had to live in the shadows, complete isolation, never talking with anyone, because no one can know she exists or her plan would have failed. At least Furina got to interact with some people, perhaps under false pretenses, but she got to interact. Focalors got to do absolutely nothing but hide in the shadows and pretend she didn't exist for 500 years just so this could work, until the final moment she reveals herself, only to be killed in service to her people, in service to Furina, in service to Neuvillette. This is why, absolutely without a shadow of doubt, Focalors deserves not only the Hydro Vision but the Dendro Vision as well. The only reason she wasn't granted it is because I don't believe an Archon can be granted a vision. So far we see that Furina, Focalors, and even Nigeria match the cryo resonance pretty well. So what about Neuvillette? So Neuvillette doesn't really seem to understand human customs or feelings too well, and that makes him seem pretty socially awkward, right? And you know that being social is part of the requirements to resonate with Hydro to begin with, right? However, you may be forgetting one thing, which is the egotistical desire of the Hydro resonance itself. In Genshin is justice. So he's avoiding socializing, though he craves it. So it won't seem like he has emotional attachments, as that might ruin the image he's trying to uphold, which is to be a fair and impartial chief of justice. Which is why he's not too skilled and proficient at understanding human emotion and micro-expression and body language, because he's not originally human. This is not natural to him, so he has to learn this. But he's not taking the time to learn this because he's trying to focus on justice. However, this doesn't mean he doesn't understand emotion. It's just he doesn't understand it when humans are expressing it. You can see he's very empathetic, he's very honest and loving, he has a lot of kindness. Even in one of the most depressing quests in Genshin overall, at least to me, you can see that he has extreme guilt and sorrow, a pain that still grieves him hundreds of years later and still basically triggers him. This goes without even saying the fact that the little rhyme exists at all within the game, that Hydro Dragon don't cry when it's raining, shows that at least some single person in history made this connection that the Hydro Dragon is strongly tied to emotion, or else why would this even exist? So far this is showing loving kindness, this is showing fairness, peace, and order, as he's been the symbol of justice and honor, the chief of justice for almost as long as Furina has been posing as the Hydro Archon, even having to sentence his own friend, which was only getting justice for his other friend, which he feels responsible for himself. He judged that with fairness, peace, and order, instead of having his own bias. Also, when it comes to empathetic concerns or generosity, you can see that he cares a great deal about the Melazine society, where he tries to get them equality and a fair place in society rather than being persecuted for them being different. Or the extreme sorrow and guilt he felt for Furina and even Focalors, for them having to live the life they lived and the sacrifices they had to sacrifice. This weighs heavily on him. And then him realizing that the sentence that is cast upon the people of Fontaine, for what? For them wanting to be human? This is not justice to him, this is not fair for him. And to top it off, what did he end up doing? He ended up going against the heavenly principles because he didn't think that was just and fair, and he chose to follow his own way, he chose to follow his heart, and to show the Fontainians mercy and kindness and peace, to allow them to live out their lives, not to be sentenced for them choosing to simply live. And therefore he showed mercy, loving kindness. He had expanding ideas, empathetic concerns, fairness, peace, and order. He's generous and empathetic and sociable. This is everything it takes to be a Hydro Archon or the Hydro Dragon or a Hydro Vision wielder. This is it right here. This is the very essence. Anyway, that's about it for this video, guys. By the way, if you guys want to know how any of the other characters got their vision, and to see if it matches with their counterpart Sephra in the Tree of Life, all those other videos exist on my channel. And any character I haven't gotten to yet, they're newer characters and I'm working on them, or I will be working on them in the future. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you next time.